a honorable discharge may be considered in some veterans' minds as being a bad discharge. Can you tell me a little bit about if in their mind they have a bad discharge, which is anything other than honorable, are they still eligible for VA benefits?
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's a big fallacy out there, like you said, that if a veteran gets a general under honorable conditions or just a general discharge, they think to themselves, well, I'm not eligible. But by and large, all those benefits are based on a general discharge on up. So a general under honorable, an honorable discharge is good. And there's also situations, Mark, where a veteran may have multiple periods of enlistment. He gets into a bad situation in his second term, but he already completed or she completed their first enlistment honorably. So they have a bad discharge at the end, but they have one good honorable period of service. That makes them eligible, even though the last discharge may have been a bad discharge. A lot of veterans out there probably maybe listening to this program today that are not aware of that, and they should definitely file for VA benefits. Now, there are exceptions to the rule. The Montgomery GI Bill, for instance, requires a strict honorable discharge. If you get a general discharge, you can't get your Montgomery GI Bill, but you can still use the VA home loan, the VA hospital system, burial, and VA National Cemetery. It's very important. Any veteran out there who has paper that he's not sure the classification needs to contact us so we can sort it out for him.
That's great.
Yeah, even in addition to that, we even had a situation where we had a veteran with a bad paper discharge, but because he was injured in service, we were able to get him medical treatment for that service-connected condition, even with the bad paper. He couldn't apply for compensation benefits, but at least we could get him medical treatment for that condition.
Wow, that's great.
And to piggyback on that, they could have a bad discharge, Mark, but the VA internally can review that discharge for VA purposes and say, well, we don't like what DOD did to the veteran. We're going to make him eligible for VA benefits. And that happens a lot, too.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it is.
It's glad to know that all their decisions are not final.
Correct.
They are subject to interpretation and reconsideration, so that's great to hear. You know, there's other types of things that happen to veterans. You know, if a veteran becomes disabled, say he goes to the doctor and they've got a problem, and they've determined that the problem is not service related, but can this veteran still apply for veterans benefits?
There's a veterans benefit for non-service connected disabilities. It's called non-service connected pension. In order to get this, a veteran has to have served during a wartime period, at least a day, and also has to be totally disabled, and or age 65 or older. And he must qualify by income. There are certain income limitations that he has to meet in order to get this benefit. But there's not only the compensation and pension benefits, there's as Ray mentioned before, there's education benefits, there's GI home loans that still can get benefits for, burial benefits. Those are also, you don't have to be service connected in order to take advantage of some of those.
Well, that's great to know. Like I said, a lot of good information out here today, and we're glad these guys can be here with us and let us know these things. You know, a lot of people are under the perception, too, that if once you get out of military service, once you're released, you've got basically a year that you can claim the VA for something that's wrong. Is that true?
Absolutely not, and that's another one of those rumors out there that veterans listen to and they think it's true. A veteran can file a claim for any disability or injury that it was incurred in service anytime. The one-year rule that a lot of veterans hear about is for retroactive pay. If they file within a year and they're eligible, the VA will pay them back to the date they're discharged. But we have World War II, Korean, Vietnam vets coming in for the first time, still filing claims, getting benefits. Of course, they don't get retroactive back to when they get out because they waited the year, but they can get benefits now. So there is no time limit. In fact, even if a veteran filed back in the 70s or 80s and was denied, they can come back in and reopen with new evidence, which is a whole new ball game because the VA laws change. That's what makes our job so much fun. What we thought last year was the rules were changed by Congress, so now when the vet comes back, we can tell them, hey, you weren't eligible last year, but guess what? The VA and the Congress changed the laws on you, so now you can get benefits. So that's exciting too.
Oh yeah, you know, there's one of the benefits that a lot of people you know, really appreciate, especially their families, of course, is the burial benefits. You know, one of the things that I heard one of the veterans talking about, he said, "Honey, you don't have to worry a bit about me because once I die, the VA handles everything." Is that true?
Unfortunately not. There are a lot of VA benefits for burial, and the VA does furnish the headstone, the burial flag, the honor guard, and also a free cemetery plot in a national cemetery. But as far as the undertaker, the hearse, the wake charges and stuff like that, that is borne by the veteran's family. So no, the VA is not going to take care of the entire package, but there are many VA burial benefits available for the next of kin to look into.
That's great. You know, we've got a clip we're going to look at here, but before we do, I want to ask one question, and a lot of people have asked me this, and I want to hear it from you guys because you are the ones that know. Now, once I get out and I wait 10 years and 1 day, can I still use any of my GI Bill or my educational benefits from the VA?
Well, that depends which GI Bill you qualify for. And I'm sure you're talking about educational benefits because GI Bill includes home loans and other issues.
Education.
But as far as education, I'm Vietnam era, as is Ray, and we were under Chapter 34 GI Bill benefits for education at that time, and that's true. If you're out 10 years and the 10 years has passed and that next date comes up, you're not eligible for the educational benefits. Same thing with the Montgomery GI Bill, which started after the Chapter 34 GI Bill. Now, the present day post 9/11 GI Bill is more generous. That's 15 years after discharge. In addition to that, some of those benefits can be transferred to the veteran's spouse or children. So it depends what GI Bill you're talking about, which one you qualify for, as to when your benefits are up.
Well, the key is use it or lose it. Now, those are words to live by when you're looking at the GI Bill, whether it be the Montgomery GI Bill. Those benefits won't be there forever for you. If you're fresh out of the military, use them or lose them. I mean, that's cut and dry. That's the way it is. So you want to take advantage of those while they're available. We've got a short clip to look at. Ray, is there something you want to...
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on what Wayne said. Let's say you used a GI Bill after Vietnam and your 10 years ran out. If you come in today and file for an Agent Orange related disability, let's say coronary artery disease or prostate cancer, and are granted benefits, there's a potential for a whole new educational program called vocational rehabilitation, which is 12 years from the date you get your VA letter awarding you disability. So yeah, the 10-year rule applies for that benefit, but there's a whole new ballgame if you get a disability claim granted later on.
See, that's exactly why we're glad to have these guys here, because who knew?
Also, adding on to that, there's a state benefit called the Illinois Veterans Grant. If you were a veteran that entered service in Illinois, when you were discharged, you came back to Illinois, you're eligible for this Illinois Veterans Grant, which allows you to go to a state school, and the state will pick up your tuition.
That's wonderful. And the clip that we're about to see is a female veteran that used the services of the American Legion, and we'd like you to hear this letter that she wrote. Thank you.
In addition to our office in the VA Regional Building here in Chicago, we have another service officer down in Southern Illinois at the Marion VA Hospital, and his name is Rick Avery. Rick is a very knowledgeable, helpful, friendly person, worked for the VA previously, and has been helping veterans for the last several years on behalf of the American Legion. I've got a letter here from one of the people that was helped by Rick, and I'd just like to read it. It's from a woman veteran, OEF veteran, and letter goes as follows. I'm writing this letter to express to you and your organization sincere thanks for all you do. When I heard you coming to the area, I wanted to make sure to deliver this message to you. Very thankful you have experienced representatives in the field representing the needs of veterans. One of your service representatives, Rick Avery at the Marion VA Hospital location, has bent over backwards to assist me in filing compensation upon my release from active duty. He not only put forth knowledgeable effort on my behalf, but he also expressed genuine interest and concern for me as a person with real needs. Through his diligence and hard work, Rick was able to ensure all necessary documentation for my claim was submitted in a timely manner. Additionally, he followed up with me each and every time I called him on the phone. His consistent efforts resulted in my being awarded a service-connected compensation for my medical condition, for which I am very thankful. Rick should truly be commended for the the relentless efforts he puts forth in assisting veterans. I know I'm not the only one who would, if they thought of it, let you know how important his role is at the Marion VA Hospital. His office is a constant stream of veterans needing and receiving assistance, which he wholeheartedly and diligently provides. Thank you again for placing professionals like Rick out there to help us. And that's what we do. We're here to help, and we do our very best to accomplish that mission.
Welcome back. And it is very important, very, very important to have knowledgeable people in positions that take care of these veterans when they come in for help. Ray is a 33-year VA employee. Now imagine the experience this man has on how the VA works, and that's exactly what we need working for every veteran that comes into this office, and we appreciate having him here. And one of the things that that you hear a lot of the national cemeteries and the ability for a veteran to be buried at a national cemetery. But is it true that only veterans can be buried at national cemeteries, Ray?
No, absolutely not, Mark. The national cemeteries that are available, especially the one out by Joliet, the Abe Lincoln National Cemetery, which is a beautiful cemetery, by the way. If you ever get a chance, go out there. A veteran can have his spouse buried there and his minor children. And if he has a disabled child, let's say a child with a major birth defect, they can be buried at the National Cemetery also. And as a sideline, every once in a while a veteran will say, while my wife died and she's buried and I've remarried, can my second wife be buried at the National Cemetery? The answer is there's no limit. We have one veteran with 4 wives in the grave.
4 wives, that might have put him there a little quicker. Now, one of the questions that we're asked a lot now, and I'm sure you guys get asked this question a lot, if somebody served in the reserves, or National Guard, reserves, do they qualify for any VA benefits?
That's a very interesting area, and there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts. When I first started a long time ago with the VA, I'm now an American Legion employee, but back then, most of the National Guard and reservists were never activated. They just did their 6 years, went to summer camp, and that was it. But with the Iraq War, the Afghan wars, more and more units are being activated. And when a veteran who serves in the National Guard or reserves is federally activated, they automatically are granted veteran status, opening up a whole new gamut of benefits for them. Also, those veterans who may never have been activated, but went up to Camp McCoy in Wisconsin, for instance, for summer camp, they may have gotten injured while in their training exercise, and that is a valid claim for VA compensation. So yes, there are many benefits, but they are technical. So again, as you've mentioned earlier, seek out the experts. Wayne and I are pretty expert at this, and we can advise them further.
That's great. You know, there's certain time limits on different benefits. The dental, for example. I guess you've only got so long to apply for dental benefits. Can you tell me a little bit about how long you have after
Sure.
you release from active duty to square that away?
Absolutely. It used to be 90 days from the time you were released from active duty. Now it's been extended to 6 months, but there are exceptions to that. For instance, if a veteran is a former POW, they have lifetime dental care. If a veteran is rated 100% service connected, they can also use the dentist whenever they wish. If the veteran is in that vocational rehabilitation program I had mentioned earlier for the GI Bill, they can use the dental program. There's also special categories of veterans. Let's say a veteran was in a Jeep accident, hit his face on the windshield, cracked his teeth. That's considered a dental trauma, and the veteran can use the dental care. What happened was back after World War II, every veteran had dental care, so all the veterans were using it. 1954, thereabouts, Congress came out and said, wait a minute, this is costing a lot of money. So they scaled it back. So there are certain situations where you can still qualify.
Another thing that we're asking, if a veteran took a lump sum severance settlement from the military, does that disqualify them from any veterans claims?
I could sit here and tell you horror stories about veterans who got the lump sum pay, were told by somebody, wait till the lump sum pay is recouped, and after 20 years it takes whatever, then file your claim. Well, guess what? The 20 years recoupment doesn't start until the veteran actually files. So yes, you can get both, but the VA has to recoup it. Real quick example. $1,000 lump sum check,